Okay, I want to go ahead and talk about this family that was down in Texas. They were actually doing classes at a local karate school, and there were 4 boys. And this dad basically added up everything after they had been doing classes for 5 months and realized just how much money they were spending. And as the dad said, he wanted his wallet to learn self-defense as well. Okay, so they checked out our program. They found it to be much more affordable, gave it a shot. They loved the program, absolutely loved it, and they've been staying with us ever since. Okay, and actually the dad said, yeah, if you want to go ahead and present these numbers, that could be fine, because again, he was just blown away at the savings. And again, he was also really shocked to see how expensive it was for regular martial arts classes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share with you these numbers and show you again how this particular dad was paying 20 times more money through a local martial arts class than through us. Okay, and again, that's not the average. The average person usually saves 5 to 6 times more money through us, not up to 20. The point is, though, that once you start getting into 2, 3, 4 students or more, it's going to be exponentially more affordable for you. Okay, so with this family, okay, first of all, for 4 students, what happened is with the 4 of them, I think the dad said that regular classes were like $130 or $140 a month, something like that. Basically, the instructor worked out a deal and he dropped the price down to $100 a month per student. Okay, and some schools will have family discounts. Actually, at Martial Sports, my Taekwondo school here in Seattle, people coming to me, we do have family discounts available also. Okay, so the point is, they did give them a little bit of a deal, $100 per person. Okay, instead of the $130 or $140. But for 4 of them, that's still $400 a month. Okay, so for 5 months at $400 per month, that was $2,000 just for the membership fees. Okay, now the students also had to purchase uniforms. Okay, and the uniforms had to be the school's uniform, so it had the logo of the school on it and all that good stuff. Okay, uniforms were $62 per person. Okay, so for 4 students, that's $248. Okay, so $2,000 plus $248. Okay, now also the students had to purchase sparring equipment, sparring gear. Okay, unfortunately, they couldn't share gear with each other, because if they were to do a tournament, which they eventually did, the students might be sparring at the exact same time, so they couldn't be borrowing sparring gear. They had to have their own gear. Okay, and actually the dad didn't purchase full gear. He bought most of it, and then the kids were actually allowed to borrow some headgear and a couple other things from the school itself. But what they were required to purchase, they got some guards for their hands, they got some guards for their feet, they got a groin cup and a mouth guard. Okay, the groin cup, as he said, was about $19. The hand guards were $35, and the foot guards were $35, and then the mouthpiece was $2. Okay, so total $91 per student, and again, that wasn't for full gear. That was for gear that was mostly covered. Okay, $91 per person for 4 students, $364. Okay, then there was a test. Okay, the students had a belt test, and all of them had a test at a specific time. Testing was $240 for the total. It was $60 per person. Okay, 60 per person times 4, $240. Okay. Then this is actually what made the dad really step back and add everything up. The kids were strongly encouraged to do a tournament. Okay, basically the instructor was good friends with another instructor at another school that was hosting and putting on this tournament, and so this school was trying to bring as many students as possible. And the instructor said, well, if you do this tournament, you're going to get a better grade on your test. So we really want you to do the belt, or not the belt test, but the actual tournament. Okay. So the kids did the tournament. First of all, there was a pre-registration fee. There was a fee for being part of the association that the tournament was with, basically. Okay. That was a yearly fee, and by doing that, they would then be allowed to participate in a couple other tournaments as well. That fee was $25 per student, so that was $100 just to be able to pay the registration fee. Okay, the fee itself for the tournament was $75 per student, but 2 of the kids did an extra event. So they did sparring, but they also did forms or katas, and that extra event was an additional $15 per person. Okay, so for 1 student, $75. Another student, $75. Another student, $90. Another student, $90. Okay, that's $330 for the registration fees, and then another $100 for the pre-registration fees. Okay, then on top of that, the parents, mom and dad, came to watch. It was $6 per person to get in to watch, so that cost them $12. Then when they were there, they said the tournament went all day. They got there at 8 a.m. They stayed until 7 o'clock at night, so they were there for a very long time. Okay, guess what? You couldn't bring food into the place, so they had food there. They had to pay for that. The dad said they spent around $62 on food for the 6 of them. Okay. On top of that, this was downtown, so they actually had to pay for parking. And he said parking wasn't that bad. It was like $4. Okay. Total of everything: parking, food, registration, pre-registration, entry, and all that stuff. $508. Okay. So you've got $508. That was just for one day. And the dad added that up, and he realized, oh my gosh, for this month alone, I paid for the $400 for the monthly registration fees, but then on top of that, I paid for this tournament, which was $508. I almost spent $1,000 this month alone, okay? And that's when he basically stepped back and he added up everything, and he realized that over the 5 months, they had spent $3,360 on 5 months. And so again, the dad loved the martial arts and what it was teaching them, but he just realized this is really expensive. Can we keep affording this, okay? Found our program, decided to give it a shot, saw the 90-day money-back guarantee, loved the program, absolutely loved the program, okay? Basically, the kids, the kids were at a yellow belt, and he asked me, he said, well, should the kids start over at white belt or should they do the yellow belt program? Where should they be at? And I said, well, why don't you start them off at white belt again? If they don't get a lot out of it, if they already know the material, again, we have different techniques, we have different exercises, different drills, so they should get a lot out of this. If you honestly believe they're not getting a lot out of it, let me know and I'll send you the yellow belt program for free, okay? But again, I want to make sure that they're getting something out of it. They started all over at the white belt and they already had their full uniform, okay? But the white belt program comes with a white belt. So the dad decided, well, let me try it out too, okay? So the dad jumped in there with his 4 sons and started doing the classes together with all of them, okay? So because of that, they already had the white belt. If they would have had to purchase extra white belts, it would have been $2 per person extra, okay? So the entire program was $197. If they had purchased extra belts, it would have been, again, $2 per person, okay? That's it, okay? All right, so dad started doing it. The dad then realized, well, Master Purcell, if I had joined that karate program, I would have had to pay for classes also. I would have been an additional $100 a month. So if I had been doing it as well, it would have been an extra $100 a month for 5 months. That's $500. Then the dad would have had to also buy a uniform. He would have had to get sparring gear, and he would have had to do a test. Now, he wouldn't have necessarily had to do a tournament. Adults weren't required to. Kids were more kind of pushed into it, more required to do that. The adults didn't have to as much. They were still encouraged to, but the dad said, I probably wouldn't have done a test. The tournament. He still did the test, but he wouldn't have done the tournament. But if you add that up, for the dad, $100 a month for 5 months, it's $500. Uniform, $62. Belt test fee, $60, okay? The sparring gear, $91, okay? So you add that stuff up. If he had been doing it with his kids for those 5 months total, that would have been $4,073. $4,073 for a program that lasted them 5 months. My program they did in 5 months also. All 5 of them did it, and they did it for $197. Okay? Now, they did buy an extra kicking paddle. Okay, I think the kicking paddle was like $18. Okay, they purchased an extra kicking paddle so that way they could be doing some of the drills a little bit quicker, so that when they did some of these kicking paddle drills, they didn't have to just sit and watch while one person did it at a time. Okay, so $197 plus a kicking paddle like $18. Okay, the point is for them, they spent under $220. If they had been doing that other program with the dad also, that would have been more than $4,000. Okay, so with them, again, they paid about 20 times less money with our program than at their local karate school. Okay, so again, this is not the typical family. Most families don't have 4 kids, but some of them have more than that. Okay, so again, very simply, once you start getting into more and more families, it starts getting exponentially more affordable. Okay, the other nice thing about our program is if you've got other friends that would like to try this out, this is a program you can do with other friends. Okay, you can do with other family members and all that stuff. Okay, so very simple. I think it's a great story to talk about here. I think it's a great thing to get into and show and prove just why our program is so much more affordable than local martial arts schools.